And so the Economic Development Corporation in the coming months will be reaching out to every business license holder in the city, the towns, and the county to communicate all of the small business resources that are available to them to help them succeed in operating their small businesses. And they too are as integral and important to this community as our large manufacturers and employers.
Yes. Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we're talking about building the runway. What do we need to do in Alleghany Highlands before an investment or investor shows up? And today there's no one better to kind of talk about that with than KenMcFadyen, who is the Alleghany County Administrator, and he's on the board of the Alleghany Highlands Economic Development Corporation. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, welcome. We've been looking forward to the opportunity to talk to you for some time.
Yeah.
And, if we can, let's start off with, maybe give everyone, what's your role in the county? How do you describe that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the Board of Supervisors hired me last year to be the county administrator. And so it's a role that I prepared for about 25 years ago when I finished my education at Appalachian State. I served as an assistant county manager in North Carolina, then a town manager. Then I gravitated to economic development for approximately 20 years of my career.
Yeah.
And as I'm maturing, I'm wanting to then return to administration. So last year, this opportunity here in Alleghany County presented itself, and I submitted my name and met with the board, and I've been very pleased and humbled to have been selected to serve as a county administrator. Yeah. And it's great to be here.
You've got quite a background in Botetourt and a lot of success as well. If you can, tell me what is the recipe that kind of leads to that success that you saw in Botetourt?
Sure. Well, I think first we have to have an understanding of what we're talking about when it comes to economic development. And I like to think of economic development in just a few words. It's leveraging assets for greater prosperity. If we can boil down what we do to maybe 5 words or fewer, then that helps us to understand what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So if we're leveraging our assets in a community for greater prosperity, then in terms of economic development, that's helping our existing employers to grow, to sustain their operations, to add jobs, to add investments. And it's also about attracting new employers to the area to bring the wealth from outside the area into the area so that we increase our wealth and prosperity from within as well.
Okay. What might be some misconceptions folks would have in our community about what economic development means?
Sure. I think when we're talking about economic development of working with our manufacturers and our primary employers, those companies that produce something here but sell it elsewhere, even globally,
right.
The time that it takes for a company to make a decision to locate in a community can sometimes be very fast, but then also at times it can be a very long, drawn-out process.
Yeah.
And for a community to prepare itself to work in that kind of economic development, of working with manufacturers to attract them here and to help them grow here, and especially for those that are already here, it's a long-term proposition.
Yeah. There's a lot of people and organizations in that pot that you're kind of talking about.
Yep.
The county has a role, Economic Development Corporation has a role, local investors have a role,
Correct.
Local businesses, et cetera. Can you tell us, where's, speaking to the county and the Economic Development Corporation, kind of what are their roles here, that so people can understand, what do each one of those entities do for us?
Sure. So the county, the Board of Supervisors, and the county government has a legal authority to engage in economic development in terms of developing real estate, providing financial incentives, and other types of support to companies to grow here that are already here, or to attract companies to locate here. So there's that legal responsibility under the Code of Virginia, under county ordinances, to make strategic investments, to make budget decisions, to develop real estate and things of that nature. When it comes to the Alleghany Highlands Economic Development Corporation, that's largely a marketing effort. If we're not telling people what's here, then people don't know what's here. from outside of the community. So it's really a matter of promoting and celebrating the assets in this community. I mentioned assets earlier. It's really all about promoting assets and celebrating those assets.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this traditional type of economic development of working with manufacturers, it's celebrating those who are already here, creating jobs and creating prosperity, creating taxable income for the localities to then provide services to the community with schools, with recreation, with cleaning the streets when it snows, things of that nature.
Right. You mentioned 5 assets. Can you just tell everyone what those 5 assets might be? Whether that's
Sure.
quick definition. Just
Well, 5 words to describe what we do in terms of economic development, but assets can be anything. Our educational institutions here,
right.
Alleghany County and Alleghany Highlands Public Schools is a tremendous asset for this community. Mountain Gateway Community College, in terms of workforce development, is a tremendous asset. The recreational amenities that we have in this community, Lake Moomaw, the U.S. Forest Lands, the Jackson River Scenic Trail, Jackson River Sports Complex, these are all strong recreational and natural amenities that make this a wonderful place to be. Our communities, our community organizations, our volunteer fire departments, our churches, our community clubs, our social circles, those are assets as well. Because people need to relate to one another. We need to socialize with one another and understand and support one another. And then that too becomes an asset. Probably our greatest asset of all in any community, and especially this one, is our people.
There lies the whole purpose of this podcast, the value proposition, is talking about those things that are, resources or assets, but again, things that we have that that attract people, that attract, organizations to come in here. And, I would add to that, and we've talked about this before, the cost of living in our community is extremely lower than a metro area, Roanoke, Northern Virginia. Crime is relatively low here. Buy a home, comparatively lower. We'll come back and maybe talk about, housing in a bit.
Sure.
But, I think, again, back to where we started with that is, we do have quite a few premium resources and assets here to offer, a business that wants to invest in our community. We talked about them coming. In your experience, and maybe not just here in Alleghany County, but what are some of the things that would push investors away? Like maybe they show some initial interest, and then they change their mind. I mean, what are those kind of issues we should concern ourselves with?
When investors are looking at any community to make an investment, and if we're talking especially about manufacturing operations, they're calculating several, and in some instances I've seen hundreds of factors in terms of evaluating which community they should locate an operation. And so when things don't work out, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we're being evaluated on dozens, if not hundreds of factors. And so it's always about the business proposition, the dollars and cents, the numbers, the figures. Does it make sense to locate in a particular community or not? But then at the end of the day, when all those things are equal, how does the community fit with the business, and how does the business fit with the community? Not every time when a business says, I'm sorry, we're not coming to your community, is that a bad thing? That's a learning experience, and it gives us practice for the next time. And ultimately, when it comes to this type of economic development, particularly with business attraction, bringing companies to a community, it's those factors. But then at the end of the day, it's all about whether we fit. It really is. It really is that simple. It is all about relationships.
You brought up resources earlier. We talked a little bit about housing, and you're well published. You've written a few articles that come to mind, and most recently this past summer we had a housing summit.
Yes,
and I'd like to get your thoughts on on that. On one of the housing's really affordable here, but there are some limitations, and how does that affect economic development?
Sure. It affects it in every way, but housing is not the only item that we need to address. Workforce development and training programs at Mountain Gateway Community College, at Jackson River Technical Center, those are equally important to address. Other factors including childcare availability, elder care availability, all those things weigh into our ability to succeed when it comes to economic development. Access to healthcare is another big one that we need to pay attention to. So it really is not just about attracting a company or helping an existing company to grow and create jobs. It's about building the community as a whole and lifting the community all at one time and paying attention to all of these different facets.
Yeah. Those are major muscle movements you're talking about.
Yes.
How do we as a community coordinate between what the county's doing, what the city's doing?
Yep.
Obviously not forgetting Clifton Forge and Iron
Right,
Gate.
no.
How do we, what's the mechanism that kind of synchronizes that effort so
Sure.
we're not going off in different directions and maybe not using our resources to the best advantage?
Alignment.
Yeah.
Alignment.
Yeah.
I meet with Alan Dressler and Chuck Unruh and Mayor Persinger and Iron Gate frequently, communication sometimes daily.
Yeah.
And so we need to be in alignment in terms of local governments. We need to be in alignment with our public schools and with our community college, with our state and regional economic development partners. Alleghany Highlands is served by the Roanoke Regional Partnership, which is our regional economic development organization.
Right.
There is very close alignment there with John Hull and his team at the Roanoke Regional Partnership, as well as with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership in Richmond.
Right.
We communicate with their folks on a regular basis. And the VEDP staff, they'll be here in a few weeks for a meeting, and they're here frequently.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for the community. You asked, misconceptions perhaps, or what do folks typically not understand? It's really another part of that is all the behind the scenes work.
Right.
And I would describe that best by the alignment that's required to make all of this work, not only with this economic development subject, but with community development and making this a place where people want to live and nurture their families and enjoy themselves.
Yeah. You kind of go back to the assets and resources. A lot of people have heard a lot about the pad site.
Yeah.
We have the innovation park.
Yeah.
I know the city and the county have made some strategic acquisitions, over the last couple years. For anybody that doesn't know, can I give them a hint on, the pads? How did the pad site? How did we get here?
Sure.
And if you haven't been to see the pad site, it's impressive.
I have.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there.
Yep.
A lot of people don't even maybe know where it's at. So
And that's okay.
yeah,
That's okay. So the city of Covington and Alleghany County, collectively, we have an industrial development authority that is organized under the Code of Virginia. The Code of Virginia allows localities to form these industrial development authorities to engage in real estate development for the purposes of economic development. And again, that alignment, that coordination, both the city and the county have come together to do that and to cooperate in terms of having this industrial development authority. It has its board of directors appointed by the city council and the board of supervisors.
Right.
And that entity, that IDA, Industrial Development Authority, it works to develop economic development, what we call product, sites and buildings to attract employers to the region and also to help our existing employers to grow in the region. That's you can really think of it as a tangible real estate entity that develops product to allow this community to succeed.
quite an investment too.
Yes.
We spoke about that before we started. I think, and what was the figure between local and state investment was quite significant.
To grade the two pad sites, it's an 8-acre pad and a 14-acre pad at the Alleghany Highlands Commerce Center. To do that work, because we do live in the mountains, that work was expensive.
Yeah.
And to this point, it's a $10 million investment between local investments and state grant investments. And we're in regular communication with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership that provides that state level funding on what the next investment will be to make the pad site what we call pad ready.
Right.
And what that means is, can a company go to the pad, to one of those two pad sites tomorrow and start construction?
Yeah.
And that's the goal of it being pad ready. Can construction on a building to create jobs and investment begin at a site tomorrow? And that's always the goal that we drive toward.
And that's everything from sewer to electric to
Utilities, absolutely. Electric, water, wastewater, communications, natural gas, highway connectivity.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it's strategically located there.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversations on the show. We had Josh in from the Chamber of Commerce and Tourism.
Yeah.
And a few other folks. And we talked about, tourism as an economic driver. I just would like to get your thoughts on how that fits into the overall economic development strategy or scenario for our community.
Sure. I'll tell a short story from a community where I served in my career. I was town manager in West Jefferson, North Carolina. And if folks are familiar with West Jefferson, you know that it has a downtown arts district.
Yeah.
Lots of art galleries and nice restaurants. And once upon a time, West Jefferson had visitors from New York that heard about the arts district. And they wanted to go visit all the art galleries and restaurants. And so they did. They came and they visited. But they also owned a manufacturing operation that manufactured saw blades. And the husband and wife enjoyed West Jefferson so much that they started a manufacturing operation right there in town called Oldham Saw. And they employed over 350 people, and they built a great big manufacturing operation to operate their manufacturing. And so an arts district brought a manufacturing operation to that town. They then retired, and they sold their company to Black & Decker that made other strategic investments and then made that property available. And then General Electric purchased the property, GE Aviation to manufacture aircraft engine components. And now that operation in that community, very much like the Alleghany Highlands, is one of the global leaders in aviation components right there in that community, all because of art galleries.
Yeah.
And that's a tremendous story. And the same can happen here in this community. And that type of story is largely explained by tourism, by the ability to attract visitors to recreate. And then when they arrive, they say, hey, this is a really nice place. And it's even such a nice place that maybe we want to do business here. And sometimes that happens. So everything is important. And the Alleghany Highlands Chamber of Commerce, I think, is doing a great job with promoting the area, with serving our businesses and creating that network and that good feel of home. And so that, too, is another tremendous asset that we have in this community.
Yeah, Josh has done a wonderful job. And it just keeps, kind of keeps getting better. So from your position, what do you see in the next 5 years, realistic goals that the Highlands as into itself, maybe not just the county, but for our whole community?
Yeah. So we have a population between the city, the towns, and the county of approximately 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And within that population of roughly 20,000 people, approximately 8,000 people are engaged in the workforce. The adults who are engaged in our work and here in the community, about 8,000 people. But that leaves roughly 3,300 people, adults, who are not working. And so our labor force participation rate is approximately 50% of those ages 16 and above. And what that equates to in a real number is roughly 3,300 people. Our labor force participation rate being roughly 50% is about 12 percentage points lower than the state average of about 62 to 63%. So we have folks who are not working, who are not engaged in the workforce, who are not engaged in the local economy, who very much need to be engaged in the local economy and pursuing those job opportunities. Here in the Alleghany Highlands, we've got approximately 500 job openings at this time. And we've got roughly 10 to 20% of those job openings are in manufacturing, in those sectors of the economy that bring dollars into the community that then our small businesses will circulate at our restaurants and other types of businesses. So we need to do more to attract more of our adults who are capable of working. Not everybody is,
Right.
and we should care for those who are not able to otherwise care for themselves. I do believe in that. But for those who are not working, who are in a position to be able to, we need to do everything that we can to encourage them to do so, whether that's pursuing a credential at Mountain Gateway Community College, whether that's helping Alleghany Highlands Public Schools to then also perhaps even provide adult education or help our high school students to earn those vocational credentials. Though that is one area that needs to be a very concerted focus for the Highlands in terms of helping this community to continue to prosper.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my question I was going to follow with was what do we need to improve on? But, to kind of linger on this point, do you, in your assessment, that percentage of folks that aren't working, is that due to, lack of skills, lack of childcare, unemployable because of legal issues? Do we know?
We don't necessarily know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think any of those reasons is something that we can navigate.
Sure, can be addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
And the importance of childcare. It's not only important for children to have a safe environment in an enjoyable childhood. Sure. That's not only important, but for their parents, if they don't have the availability of childcare services, then they're not able to go to work.
Right.
And if they're not able to go to work, then they can't earn the paycheck to help the family prosper and to be able to provide for their families. So childcare, that is, it's a huge issue. It's an item that we have done well in this community, I think, of addressing, but we still have a bit of a gap that we need to fill. So then that's then a barrier to increasing our labor force participation rate.
Yeah. As we're out of school today.
As we're out of school today. Yeah.
Those of us with kids at home.
Sure. Yeah.
So, kind of to come full circle, what message do you have for, members of our community, small business owners?
Sure.
What's Ken's takeaway message that
Sure.
you can share with us?
Sure. The Alleghany Highlands is a wonderful community. I have been so blessed to have had the opportunity to come here to serve as county administrator. I lived and worked in Botetourt for 9 years. Very happy with the career that I had in Botetourt. I'm very thankful to the Botetourt community, but I'm very happy and honored to be here in the Alleghany Highlands. This truly is a wonderful community.
Yeah. So can you talk to us about, the soft skills, what's important for job seekers and employers in our community?
Sure. Employers seek employees who are employable. They've got the work ethic. They have the aptitude and the attitude to contribute to an employer's place of business. And we're fortunate in the Alleghany Highlands that we have a higher number of folks who have earned a career credential than most communities. And it's through the ACT. It's a national organization that provides credentials, and it's a national career readiness credential. And in this community, we have approximately 1,500 people who have earned this credential, largely due to Smurfit Westrock and other large employers in the past and currently having required applicants to have a national career readiness credential. And so that's one aspect of this community that we're doing really well with, that perhaps we can do more to encourage more people to earn that career readiness credential.
And I would assume that would be of interest to anybody that's, really coming in looking to set up a manufacturing facility or something to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that particular credential does evaluate one's soft skills and employees' soft skills, their work ethic, their willingness to work, their willingness to contribute to an employer's success and then ultimately to their success. It's a credential that weighs and balances an employee's ability to contribute.